One of the most common questions I get asked on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter is what is my favorite specialist character and what do I think is the worst specialist character? So what I figured is I would make a video ranking all of the specialist characters in order of least usefulness to most usefulness and kind of give you a description of why I believe that to be. Now, as always with this type of video where I give my opinion on something, whether it be weapons, score streaks, or in this case specialist characters, people are going to disagree with me. So if you do enjoy the video, at least I would appreciate it if you could hit that like button, because I'm giving my opinion. I'm sure this video is going to have a lot of dislikes. Speaking of which though, if you do disagree with me, I would love to hear what you think down in the comments. So let me know. You can give me your full rankings. You can just give me your favorite specialist and least favorite, but I'm curious what you guys think. So make sure you let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as I mentioned before, this is probably one of the most asked questions I get on Twitch is what is my favorite specialist character? And speaking of which, later today at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till about midnight, I'm going to be streaming over on Twitch, doing an open lobby, playing some games with you guys. So if you want to check out my Twitch or a chance to actually jump in Black Ops 4 and play with me, check out that Twitch link. It'll be the first thing down in the description below. We will be playing some multiplayer and then some Blackout later on. So if you're interested in that, check out the link in the description. But without further ado, let me shut up and start ranking the specialist characters. So as far as Black Ops 4 goes, the game was launched with 10 specialist characters, but as we know, one has been recently added in, and that would be 0. So in total, we have 11 specialist characters, and when I was putting this list together, I kind of realized no matter who I put in last place, it's going to make some people mad, so I'm just going to be honest with you. In my opinion, the worst specialist character in the game is a Nomad. Now, let me explain myself before you get all raged right in the comments. Let me explain why I think Nomad is the worst character. If you've seen my class setup videos, the first tier perk that I always use on all of my classes is Engineer. And what Engineer allows you to do is see enemy equipment through walls. And when someone's running Nomad, not only can I see their trip mines through walls, I can also see the dog through walls all the way across the map. Which means if a dog is coming for me, I can see it coming from a mile away. And if I'm being honest with you, it doesn't take that many bullets to kill a dog. Yes, it's more than a person, but if you put yourself in a good position, it's super easy to kill that dog well before it gets to you. But that is only if you're running Engineer. If you're not running Engineer and running something else, I can see how a dog and trip mines are both very frustrating. Also, I have to mention that there is situations in this game where all of the specialists can be good. What we're talking about today is the specialist characters that are good in the most situations, and I find that Nomad is the best in the least amount of situations. But the real reason why I put this character at last place is I find his abilities simply very easy to counter with the perk Engineer. Next up, we've got the specialist that I think I'm going to get the most lashback about, and that is Torque. Now, Torque's an interesting character because as far as objective game modes, Torque is extremely useful. You can block off objectives, block lanes, and basically control where the enemies go. However, I predominantly play Team Deathmatch, Free-for-All, basically slaying game modes. And on top of that, I play pretty aggressively, which means the only use for Torque in Team Deathmatch is to camp, and you're gonna see it a lot if you're a Team Deathmatch player. There'll be enemies sitting in one individual room with one doorway blocked off with a barricade and one doorway blocked off with a barbed wire. And that enemy will just sit in the room until someone eventually throws in a grenade or hacks the barricade, and it's a super campy playstyle, and I personally don't play that way, so to me, Torque isn't very useful. However, if you are an objective player who plays a lot of hardpoint or domination, Torque will probably be a little bit higher on your list, but personally for me, he's not very useful. Moving up on the list, this is one that I was kind of surprised with even where I put it, but it's Ruin. Now, Ruin has one amazing ability. I absolutely love his grappling ability because it is the only ability in the game that is going to make you move faster, get around the map differently, and really get a jump on your opponents. I think the grappling hook is an amazing ability. However, I want to say the Grav Slam is one of the weaker abilities on the list. For one, you have to get really up close and personal to your enemies, and without using using the grappling hook, it's sometimes difficult to do, and sometimes I find myself dying multiple times just to try to get off a good grab slam. Once again, Ruin is another specialist character that's going to do better in objective game modes, because those are the game modes where your enemies are going to clump together and it's going to be easier to get multi-kills with the grab slam. But if you're like me and predominantly a team deathmatch player, it's really hard to get those multi-kills with the grab slam. So even though I love the grappling hook, I just don't think the grab slam's up to snuff with some of the other specialist weapons. Speaking of which, the next character we have here is Seraph. And the reason why Seraph is better than Ruin, for example, is because with the specialist weapon, you get 6 attempts. You get 6 bullets to potentially kill people, which means it's pretty easy to get at least 2 or 3 kills. Whereas with Ruin, you only get that one slam that takes a while to charge. Speaking of charge times, though, the reason why Seraph isn't higher on this list is because of her charge times. The Annihilator pistol takes 12 minutes to charge up. If you're a bad player, it will be around 10 minutes. If you're a better player, you can get this thing in as fast as about 6 minutes with getting a bunch of kills to earn it. However, this is the longest weapon that takes to charge in the entire game. Just for comparison, Prophet's Tempest takes 8 minutes to charge, so 4 minutes less than Seraph's Annihilator pistol. Now, as far as Seraph's other ability, the Spawn Beacon, this is one that's actually really good, once again, especially in objective game modes. If you're trying to push that B flag, if you're trying to get on a hard point, throwing a Spawn Beacon down near it can completely change the game. However, this has been nerfed so that you can only spawn on it a certain amount of times. It's really easy for the enemies to kill, and on top of that, it takes 1 minute and 35 seconds to charge, which for specialist equipment is actually, once again, the slowest time out of all of the equipments. And the one thing that I haven't mentioned with the Annihilator pistol, back in Black Ops 3, this pistol had a massive amount of aim assist, whereas in Black Ops 4, it seems like this pistol actually has less aim assist than other normal weapons, like a normal assault rifle or SMG. And because of that, and the longer charge times, that is why Seraph only comes in at number 8. Next up, we have Battery at number 7, and first of all, I gotta get this out of the way. If you are an objective player, this is probably in the top 4 on your list. As I mentioned before, I mostly play Team Deathmatch, so Battery isn't as good. Now, why do I say that? Is because Battery is an area of denial character. If there is an objective to be taken, if there is a room to be cleared out, Battery is your girl. The reason for that is, first of all, with the cluster grenade, it has a pretty good recharge time of only 58 seconds. Also, you can throw it in a room, it can explode and pretty much kill anything in that room. The second ability, the War Machine, is basically a gun that shoots a bunch of cluster grenades. Once again, this is great for clearing an objective, clearing a room, or stopping enemies from running through a certain area of the map. Like I said before, area denial. And on top of that, it has a pretty good charge time of only 8 minutes. So why is this one not higher on the list? It's for one main reason, that both the cluster grenade and the War Machine are, first of all, kind of easy to dodge. If you see someone throw it, you can just run away, and most of the time it takes too long to explode to actually kill you. Yes, it'll do damage to you, but a lot of the time it doesn't kill you. Also, when I play Battery, sometimes I find myself running into a room, shooting the War Machine at someone, and they will actually kill me before it explodes. So we'll end up killing each other, but at the same time, I'm dead, and there goes my score streak. So maybe I'm wrong on this one, maybe it deserves to be higher on this list, but I put this one at number 7. You can let me know down in the comments where you'd put it. Up next, we have Zero, and this one was kind of a hard one to place for me. As far as Zero as a character, the way I look at her is she is basically a point machine. You're not going to get a bunch of kills from using Zero, but you will get a lot of score, which can lead to score streaks, and that will get you kills. How, you ask? Well, first of all, if you look at the EMP grenade, first of all, just simply by hitting people with it, you get score from that, but also if you destroy any sort of equipment, it gives you anywhere between 50 and 150 score. Plus, if you hit any people, you get a 15-point assist when they're killed. On top of that, it is the only hard counter for Torque's Barricade and Razor Wire. In fact, it immediately disables them upon exploding. And you're going to be getting one of these grenades about every minute. So just the score from those alone can really add up. On top of that, this is one of the few items in the game that actually works through walls. So you don't have to throw the EMP grenade right beside a sentry. You can throw it on the other side of a wall and it will still work and destroy that sentry gun. On top of this, her ability is Ice Pick. Ice Pick is also something that's just going to give you a lot of score. First of all, even if the enemies have no equipment up and being used, even if you just hack the enemy players and there's 6 people on the enemy team, you get 10 score for every player you hack, and then 15 score for every player that is killed that is hacked, which is essentially 150 free score. Plus, the enemies are actually going to be hacked. The downside to this ability is it shows all of your enemies exactly where you are with a little marker above your head. So you become a target very, very quickly, and a lot of the time you can even be killed while you are hacking. So as an upside, you can get free score while sitting at the back of the map, but on the downside, you make yourself a pretty easy target. So because of those upsides and downsides, that's why I put 0 at the halfway point as number 6. After that, at number 5, we have another character that I consider a score machine, and also, in my opinion, the most underrated specialist character in the game, and that would be Crash. So why do I say that? First of all, Crash is a point machine because both of his abilities just give him a ton of score. If you are a player who likes going on long score streaks and getting lots of score streaks, Crash is the character for you. First of all, his ability to drop ammo for your team. So every time a teammate picks up ammo, you are going to get 10 score. After that, when you pick up ammo, every kill you get is going to give you an extra 25 score until you die and lose that ammo. On top of that, players who are going on long score streaks often like to run Scavenger. However, if you're playing Crash, you don't have to run Scavenger because you constantly have the ability to just drop ammo and have essentially unlimited ammo. So those are all huge bonuses, but on top of that, you also have the healing abilities. This allows you to heal all of your teammates up to 200 health, which is more than you can normally have. On top of this, not only are you helping out your team, but it also gives you an immediate 25 score for every teammate that you heal. So if you're playing Team Deathmatch and you have 5 other teammates, that's 125 score. On top of that, this ability is the second fastest charging ability for all specialists at 7 minutes and 13 seconds, and of course you can make that faster with killing enemies and stuff. So all around, Crash is just a character who's incredible for going on really long streaks and getting score even faster than normally, and that is why I put him as number 5. And then we have number 4. Number 4 is not quite as much as a score machine as Crash, but I honestly think is the best character for new players, and that would be Recon. Reason being, Recon is all about showing your team where the enemies are, and that is going to allow you to become a better player, learn spawns better, starting off with his equipment, which is a sensor dart. Basically, this gives you a portable UAV that you stick to a wall and will show you where enemies are in a circular radius around that item. Now, this is pretty good if you are in an area central to a map where enemies could be coming from any area. You throw down the sensor dart and immediately you can see where your enemies are and you're able to get the jump on them. Also, on top of that, if your teammates kill enemies in the radius of the sensor dart, you also get assist points for that. But even better than the sensor dart is the Vision Pulse. Vision Pulse is an ability that basically you put goggles on and you can see enemies through walls. It gives you wall hack, essentially. Now, the Vision Pulse is going to sweep 3 times, and every time it does and tags an enemy, it's going to give you plus 10 score. So assuming that there's 5 enemies on the enemy team and it sweeps 3 times, that's 150 extra score, plus the kills that this thing allows you to get. Like I said, an absolute score machine. So these two abilities combined are going to easily be able to help you decide where the enemies are spawning and help you get a jump on them. Hence why I say this character will help raise your kill death. Now, moving into the top 3 spots, this is where it gets difficult to discern which characters are really better than the other. But at number 3, I have Ajax. So with Ajax, you have the 9-bang and the Riot Shield. As far as the 9-bang goes, it's basically an ultra concussion that flashes 3 times, and basically if you get hit by it, you're dead. This is probably one of the best pieces of equipment in the game, especially for clearing out rooms. You can just throw it in there and run in without a problem. On top of that, it has one of the best recharge times at only 58 seconds, which is incredibly fast. Put it this way, a regular concussion in Black Ops 4 takes 1 minute and 8 seconds to charge and use. The 9 bang, which is basically an ultra concussion, only takes 58 seconds. So that's pretty insane. And then there's the riot shield. The riot shield is a little bit overpowered if you ask me. Essentially you get a riot shield that you can shoot through with a pistol and kill people and they can't hit you. Now as far as counters to the riot shield, either your enemies have to use explosives or they just have to run away, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, that is the counter to this. Your enemies can literally just run away from you. And also, the recharge time on the riot shield is pretty good as well. So you get 2 of the best abilities in the game, and on top of that, they have really low charge times, and that is why Ajax is so damn good. But he is not the highest on the list. Coming in at number 2, we have my personal favorite character. So for anyone who's coming out and asking on Twitch or YouTube, who is my favorite specialist character? It is Firebreak. I think Firebreak is a phenomenal character in this game. Starting out with the radioactive core, the reason why this ability is so good is that this ability is the only ability in the entire game that can kill people through walls, people who are floors above you. It is incredibly powerful. So if there's campers on the other side of the wall, just use your radioactive core and boom, the room is cleared out. Then Firebreak's second ability is the Purifier, aka the Flamethrower, and in my opinion, the Flamethrower is even better in this game than it was in Black Ops 3. This thing absolutely melts people. Of course, the only downside is you gotta get up close and personal with your enemies. So on certain maps, this thing absolutely shreds, but on maps that are a little bit more wide open, which are few and far between in Black Ops 4, this weapon isn't as good. And personally, that's why I didn't put Firebreak as number 1, because you have to get up close and personal with both of his abilities, which of course can leave you exposed. And then finally, the number 1 spot, some of you may be surprised, some of you probably aren't at all, is Prophet. Prophet is an absolute powerhouse in this game, which is funny because in the beta, I thought Prophet was one of the worst characters. Clearly, I was very, very wrong. So first of all, let's start out with the big boy, the Tempest. This thing is just godly. First of all, you get so many shots with this weapon. I believe it spawns in with 10 shots, and if you compare that to like Seraph's Annihilator or even the War Machine, both of those only have 6 shots, so a pretty big difference. On top of this, a single shot with this gun can kill much more than one person because it arcs from person to person. And I know it does take 2 shots to actually kill someone, but once your enemies are down, they're pretty easy to finish off, or your teammates can finish them as well. But I think the thing that really puts the nail in the coffin with the Tempest is the aim assist on this weapon. Basically, this weapon makes the hitbox of your enemy about 2 times as big. You can shoot 5 feet over their right shoulder and still somehow hit them. Plus, if you're aiming from the hip, it seems to be deadly accurate as well without even aiming down sights. And those 2 things put together, the arcing lightning and how easy it is to aim this thing, make it absolutely deadly. Just look at the clips I'm playing in the background. And Prophet's other ability is the Seeker, which I think is actually underrated even though people say it's overpowered. The reason why I say that is not necessarily the stun feature that the Seeker gives you. You see, when you call in the Seeker, it tracks an enemy down and stuns them. They can press square to counter it, which is honestly pretty easy, but even if they do, they're still stunned for about 3 seconds. But the reason why I find the Seeker so powerful is if you kind of forget where your enemies are spawning or not sure where they're spawning or where they are around you, just throw the Seeker down and it will immediately show you what direction your enemies are in. That's an incredibly powerful thing to have. It's almost like having the sensor dart that Recon has, plus it stuns the enemy once it gets there. So an incredibly strong piece of equipment and an incredibly strong weapon are the reason why I put Prophet at number 1. But as I mentioned before, if you disagree with me, you think another character is better, or you want to give me a full list, let me know down in the comments. Also, if you stuck around and you enjoyed the whole video, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, like what you see, and want to stay up to date on all my videos, the best way to do so is hit that subscribe button and make sure you have notifications on. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out. Paradigm.